That's all you can do, Ben. Just do your
Exactly.
best. Have fun. It's a great time in your life. So just have fun. That's all you can do. That's all I can ask for.
Ben, the man who's
Exactly.
talking now must be a huge source of inspiration to you.
Well, you know what? When you walk into GB Sheffield, you see his face on the wall. He's been through the same process as us. So why can't I be the next AJ? That's how I
Ben,
see it.
how come you're so serious today?
Hey, hey, we've got 3 weeks left. It's serious time now.
Come on, Ben. Let us see that smile. Come on.
Anthony, while you're on, mate, you know me.
What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from one of AJ's new up and coming Olympian Donnies. Now, I was too lazy to research the man's name, but whatever the man's name is, what we do know is he's on smoke time. Yeah, this right here, he checked AJ, no doubt about that. He checked him. Yeah, he reminded AJ what it's like to be young, broke and hungry. AJ forgotten. AJ too soft. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, AJ super fanboy dons, yeah. But AJ's too soft, too smiley, yeah, too rich. Bottom line, the money has rounded his edges off. He ain't got that thirst no more. He don't want to get all up inside the booty. No more. He happy to sit back. Well, you know, and I get it. Well, I don't get it because I'm not rich, but I can see. The few times I have had money, I can see how you end up like that kind of way. Because guess what? AJ looks at his bank account and thinks, you know what? I ain't got to do... It's a special feeling. I can only imagine, but it's a special feeling, yeah. To look at your bank account and you're making... AJ probably can make, what, $1 million a month of passive income from doing absolutely nothing, just sitting around. When you've got that kind of money flowing in, of course you're going to be smiling. Of course you're not going to understand how other people ain't smiling, but... listen, what we do know is, yeah, when AJ was getting it, when Dillian White was standing in front of AJ's future, there weren't no smiling. Yeah, there weren't no smiling. In fact, AJ told Dillian to humble himself. Yeah, relax yourself. No doubt, I did a video on it. They want a bit of smiling, they want a bit of fruitiness. And the reason they want no fruitiness, like I've explained, is because it's a different mindset. Now, my issue is that AJ's team have allowed the edges to be rounded. What do we know? Customato, one of the greatest trainers of all time. Customato, when he was raising Mike Tyson, he knew the money would come. He knew that already, and he knew that he was such a deep trainer. He was already preparing. Obviously, he wasn't around to see it through to the end, but he was already preparing Mike. Money was never the ultimate goal kind of thing. It was about performance and in-the-ring success. Money, these days, everything's glorified around money. Oh, well, he quit, but, you know, it's great that he quit. Oh, Billy did a really smart thing because at least he got the bag. Oh, yeah, quitting, you know what I'm saying? It's all, the whole attitude's changed around the sport. It used to be about pride and honour and performance and self-actualisation. Now, it's about getting the bag by any means necessary. If you can nick a bag by fighting a bum, if you can nick a bag by jacking after being hit once, like Billy Ho Saunders, then you're cheered. You're cheered by all the shillers. Tyrone, MTK Tyrone, etc., etc. You get cheered on by them. But the real boxing dons like the YB, not good enough. Yeah, and this cat here checked AJ because AJ told him, listen, why aren't you smiling and why aren't you fruity and whatever else? My man said to him, listen, AJ, I'm 3 weeks out from Olympics now. Obviously, this cat, this up and coming Olympic cat, he's in the Olympic system. So this is Olympics for him is the big thing, obviously. This is almost like his undisputed. At this particular point in his life, the Olympics is as big as it gets for amateurs. And he told AJ, listen, ain't got no time for smiling. I'm in work mode, and this is 3 weeks out. But I respect that, because, you know, it would have been easy. Many people, probably even myself, many people, I'd have been like, you know what I'm saying? I'd have kind of gone along to get along. Oh, yeah, give it a smile or whatever. But the fact he actually went out of his way to say, nah, I'm holding frame. I'm not going to, just because AJ's more influential and more popular and like a big figure, I'm not going to fold to him. I'm going to hold my frame. No, man, no smiles. Yeah, it's work time. I respect that. Because, like I said, I'm not even sure what I would have done in that kind of situation. I probably would have folded back in my time. Maybe not so much now, I'm older, but for him to be, 19, 20 years old and hold that frame, I salute that. I respect that. Because that there was a general move. And I hope that, well, obviously not, because I'm sure AJ hasn't taken nothing from it. I'm sure AJ's sloppy team wouldn't even think twice about it. But if AJ had someone who was half sharp in their team, this thing would already be addressed. AJ wouldn't be asking questions. Oh, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you fruity? Because AJ would already know. You know what? I know why I ain't fruity. He's about to get it. Yeah? The fact that AJ's even asking that question tells me that he's drifted so far from the beaten path. He's gone down the money path, which is great. Oh, YB, stop checking pockets. I'm happy. Oh, it don't make a scrap of difference to me. I'm just saying. What is it about? Is the sport about lining your pockets? And that's all that matters. Well, you know, it don't matter how I win, as long as I get the W and don't take any risk and don't... You know what I'm saying? That's the way the sport's gone. The sport's gone at the moment, especially thanks to people like Mayweather and Klitschko. The sport's gone the way of, don't worry about performance, don't worry about the fans, don't worry about getting the best out of yourself. It's gone the way of, get what you can and don't take no risk in doing so. If you can take it, listen, the way the boxing's going, if you can make $100 million, yeah, and have every fight be boring, that's what fighters are sticking to. Fighters today are happy to make loads of money and be in boring fights. And it's not even about being exciting. I'm not saying you go in there and you just stand there with your chin in the air and get hit loads and take damage for the sake of it, but there used to be an art to boxing. Hit and not getting hit. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to step in with a jab and dance out of range for 20 minutes. That's not the art of boxing, which is unfortunately how people have confused it. Hit and not getting hit used to mean I'm in the pocket where I can actually be hit and I'm being evasive. Now they've taken that and they've said, oh well, yeah, hit and not be hit. That means you step in with a jab and dance out for 20 minutes. That's not... You man are confused. And the problem is, we don't have enough of these old school trainers who get it, who get what's required, who understand the philosophy of fighting and boxing. There's very few trainers like the YB. Yeah, there's isn't. It's just what it is. Yeah, there ain't. Because if there is, Ben Davison ain't thinking like this. In fact, Ben Davison is the poster boy for what's wrong with the sport. Ben Davison takes Josh Taylor, someone who's been fine-tuned by one of these top trainers. We've talked about Shane McGuigan. Shane McGuigan is a throwback trainer. He will be a Custody of the future, no doubt, 100%. He's proven that already. Yeah? Josh Taylor under Shane McGuigan was doing everything I've talked about. He weren't going in there and, I've won the first 7 rounds, so let me dance around for 5 rounds. No. He went in there and he got to work. Yeah? Shane McGuigan had an expectation of Josh based on how good he is. Shane McGuigan didn't just let Josh Taylor go into a fight and, let's just go for the motions and do what we can to win. No. Just like we saw with Okolie. When Shane McGuigan was with Okolie, he didn't say, Okolie, it's your first big fight and we haven't been working long together. It's your first world championship fight. Let's just be grateful to nick the belt. No. He said, listen, you're good enough to stop this man. And in the 7th round, he's ready to go. And what happened? He got him out of there in the 7th round. Do you understand? Do you understand that? For a trainer to tell a fighter in his first world championship fight, this man's ready to go. And he even told, and this is how great Shane is, yeah. He even told Okolie, I think in the 5th, was going to do something. And Shane McGuigan told him, sit back. He's not ready yet. And these are Okolie's words. In the post-fight thing, Okolie said it. Okolie said, he told him to sit back, and then in the 7th round, the start of the 7th round, McGuigan said, yeah, he's ready to go now. Put it on him, and then 2-2s, he got stopped in that round. That's what great trainers do. They take their fighters, they make them better, but also they know how good they are, and they can gauge their opposition. And when their opposition don't match up, they have expectations of their fighter. This day and age, this fruity Ben Davison day and age, trainers are happy to have really great fighters and let them do the bare minimum. For me, that's not acceptable. If you're a really great fighter, yeah, and your opposition's not up to scratch, you have to. You are obliged to fulfill your capability, which means that if you're in there, if AJ's in there with Pulev, who's 40 years old and don't throw no inside shots and hasn't really thrown a shot the whole fight, you have an obligation to get that man out of there. When you are the fighting machine you are. Now, if people want to tell me, well, YB, we think AJ and Pulev's a pretty even fight, because for it to go 10 rounds, yeah, and that be acceptable, as it was for Rob McCrappen. Rob McCrappen was happy. Rob McCrappen wanted it to go 12 rounds, truth be known. Rob McCracken ideally wants every AJ fight to go 12 rounds, and him to throw one jab around and win. Ideally, that's what he wants. He don't have no expectations. And why was it every other trainer was saying, what's AJ doing here? But every other trainer, apart from the ones around AJ, because they ain't got a clue what they're doing. Everyone was screaming at the TV, Carl Froch, Peter Fury, what's he doing? This man's old and no good. And you've got one of the best athletes in the last 100 years doing nothing for 6-7 rounds. What is this? But again, Rob McCracken, Ben Davison, they are one and the same. They're not good enough to know what kind of fighter they've got. They treat all fighters the same. Well, you know, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, so I'm going to tie every fighter with the same brush. And that brush is, take as little risk as you can, have the most basic skills you can, and just run. Do as much running as you can, and try and nick the fight on points. That's their mentality. They don't have a dynamic mentality which says, yeah, I'm work like Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor and AJ, to an extent, can be held in a similar breath, in as much as AJ, one of the best athletes in history of the sport. Josh Taylor, not far off that. These are proven facts. Both of them two, athletically speaking, are some of the best athletes in the sport's ever seen. How can you have them two and be allowing these kind of performances and allowing these mentalities to creep in? Because you can see how Josh Taylor's mentality has devolved. Yeah? Josh Taylor in the last 4 rounds against Ramirez, we was winning, so we just thought we'd cruise. What is that? I don't get that. You'd put the man down twice. Explain it to me. Explain to me you were clearly good enough. And that night, yeah, I'm telling you now, given how Josh Taylor was beating Ramirez, yeah, on that night with Shane McGuigan in the corner, Shane McGuigan would have told Josh, or the whole theme, the whole culture of Taylor versus Ramirez would have been, it's going to be a stoppage. And what's the worst thing about this is that Josh Taylor even said it in the fight build-up. He was saying it's going to be a stoppage. What happened to that? I'll tell you what happened to that. Ben Davison happened to that. Before the fight, Josh Taylor was saying, yeah, it's a stoppage, because he still had the little bit of Shane McGuigan left in him. And then obviously during the fight, Ben Davison told him, no, don't do anything. We're up now, so let's just cruise. And the last 4 rounds were shocking. Didn't do anything. And arguably many people started saying, and myself included, I think he deserved to lose that fight, truth be known, just on principle. I don't believe anyone should be able to sack off 4 rounds and then just take the piss. But what's that? That doesn't help the fans, that doesn't help your skills, that don't help no one but Ben Davison. Trying to be I don't know what it is, it's weird. It's a real weird, conservative, scary attitude. Oh, we're up, so let's just do enough to win on points. Wow, it's bad. It's real bad. It's a real bad attitude that's seeped into boxing. That encourages mediocrity. It encourages people to be average. Because that performance against Ramirez, I'm sorry, it was average, wasn't it? Because he was ready to go. Ramirez was ready to go. And so was and the thing is, Josh Taylor doesn't have the one-punch power AJ does. So people can say, well, why are you? Yeah, Josh Taylor didn't stop Ramirez, but AJ stopped Pulev. Number 1, Ramirez is prime age. Yeah? And number 2, Josh Taylor hasn't been blessed with the one-punch ability that AJ has. So when you've got AJ who's a heavyweight, and he's fighting someone could be old enough to be his granddad, and he's fighting someone who ain't throwing no punches. To be fair to Ramirez, he was throwing. Pulev weren't throwing. So that's why the expectation on AJ's 10th round KO against a 40-year-old dude who isn't throwing, who isn't in his prime, who Klitschko, who isn't offensive at all, stopped in 4 rounds. You know, yeah, if Klitschko can stop someone in 4 rounds, you know, there's no way it goes longer than 6 with AJ, unless there's something seriously wrong with AJ's mentality and AJ's training, which is what I've been trying to point out to you, man. But some of you goofies and super fans just can't quite get it. It's got nothing to do with how many belts he's got, and it really does sum up. Some of you goofy AJ super fans, yeah, you're the kind of cats, or it's your type of thinking, which is what's in AJ's camp, if that makes sense. You're the dons that are in his camp, in as much as you can't understand that winning belts isn't the goal here. Making money isn't the goal. People tell me, well, YB, he's won 3 belts and YB's worth $100 million. They're your criteria of success. My criteria of success is looking at someone's ability and natural attributes and lining that up with training and their opponents. How does that match up? And I'm telling you, AJ and Pulev, it doesn't match up to be longer than a 4 or 5 round fight. Oh, but YB, he made 100 million. Oh, but YB, he won 3 belts. I don't care. Yeah, if you want to make all these things we talk about, yeah, belts and money, they're just made up concepts, or they're just made up things that humans have added to it. I'm talking about the purity of the sport, not, oh well, YB. You know, these are just figments of your imagination. Belts, yeah, they could be wheels for all I care. If that makes sense. AJ could be winning. Could be a free wheel holder or a free cup holder. Don't make any difference. Belt, wheel, cat, dog. Who cares? It's just made up things. Same as the money, made up. And on that basis, you man can sit there and keep cherishing these made up things we chase as humans. But I'm going to go for what's real. And what's real is your ability and your performance. How good you are and how well you apply your attributes. And at the moment, AJ, Josh Taylor are not applying their attributes to their best capability. And it's almost like, look at Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence Okolie in his early career. Now we see how he's performing under Shane McGuigan. It's night and day to see that what I'm saying is correct. And what I'm saying is that certain trainers train people in a way which affects their mentality and their ability. Because look at Lawrence Okolie, like I said, look at Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence Okolie, in the start of his career, was clearly underperforming his potential. He gets with Shane McGuigan, and look how he changes. And that's my point. I'm telling you, yeah, that AJ currently is like Lawrence Okolie of old. He's underperforming his potential. The same way we saw a night and difference thing when Okolie got with Shane McGuigan. I'm telling you now, if AJ got with Shane McGuigan, you'd say, wow, you're right, YB. This is another Lawrence Okolie all over again. Yeah, same as Josh Taylor. And in fact, we've seen the opposite of Josh Taylor. Because Lawrence Okolie went from poor trainers to a great trainer. Josh Taylor's just gone from a great trainer to a poor trainer, and you've already seen the evolution. You've seen him go from a smoky attitude, looking to get the best out of himself. Now he's in the biggest fight of his life, where he could have stopped the guy in devastating fashion, and instead he opts to just chill out for the last third of a fight. And by the way, yeah, in no other sport do we accept that. For example, athletics or football. If we see a team, yeah, sack off for the last 30 minutes, people go mad. If we see we just don't see it in other sports, athletics. You don't see someone just sack off for the last third, do you? The last 300 meters or the last 30 meters of a race, you don't see him just doss it off. Yeah. Oh, but YB, he made money. Oh, but YB, he won a belt. Wow. Is that what you want then? And that's the thing with you superfan dons. You're the same all over. Superfans are all the same. They'll just shill for their man no matter what. They can't see the wood from the trees. They can't be honest with themselves. You know what? You're probably right, YB. I think he could be doing better. Because if you look at what's going on here, and you think that it's the best, you're lying to yourself. Across the board in the sport. There's very few people who really want to get it like that. And this is really just an example or a small element of this. Because my man told AJ, listen, I'm in beast mode. And AJ's so removed from his old self, he can't even see it. Oh, why ain't you smiling? Why ain't you giggling? There ain't nothing funny. Yeah? There ain't nothing funny about what I'm about to do. And it's because, like, again, part of the reason is we don't have, and I'm not even saying I've got this, because I know what I have got and what I haven't got. I haven't got this side of things, but people like Cus D'Amato or Mike Tyson would say that Cus D'Amato would spend hours talking to him about the philosophy and the culture and the mindset of fighting. He'd spend hours doing that. Do you think? Well, we know for a fact Ron McCracken ain't doing that, and that's why people can be lost so quickly. Because once the money comes, and once the belt comes, and once you've got a whole lot of new fake friends, you just lose yourself unless you've got that man. Unless you've got that old man in there constantly. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what trainers are supposed to be doing. It's supposed to keep you on the beaten track. Trainers, in my mind, they're like a horse jockey. AJ's the horse, and the trainer's supposed to be the jockey. Bottom line, in this particular game, especially because of how important the mindset is. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson under Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato gave Mike Tyson something he didn't have on his own. We've seen that now. We've seen his career play out, and we know that Mike Tyson Cus D'Amato gave Mike Tyson something that he didn't have in himself. Unfortunately, in the sport of boxing isn't about just a fighter. In fact, that's a perfect analogy. Even if I do say so myself, boxing is a case of horse and jockey. And when you've got a bad jockey, you end up. Mike Tyson's an extreme example of that. When Kevin Rooney and Teddy Atlas left, he completely fell apart. That's the extreme. Now, has AJ completely fell apart? No, but he ended up achieving his ability. And there's little bits like this which you show you can't even understand anymore. Like, you can't even understand what it's like to be in smoke mode. It's all fruity, Rolex, Audemars, AP mode, isn't it? That's what it seems to be. That's what it seems to be for me. You can't even fathom it anymore. You can't even. Wow, yeah. What it's like to be young and hungry and broken. And people say, well, why be people? Oh, but you know, people develop, people whatever. I'm not talking about developing. I'm talking about getting the most out of yourself in the ring. And I wouldn't mind, well, YB, you know, because people have been telling me, but YB, he turns it on in the ring. Well, people have been saying that for a while now, and I haven't believed it. But you know, he's going to turn it on in the ring. We haven't been seeing that. We didn't see it. Like, let's not forget, Ruiz did him wrong, 100%. No matter what extenuating circumstances, yeah, but Ruiz did AJ wrong. And despite being done wrong, AJ and his team deemed it acceptable to go in there with a man who did you wrong and be scary, essentially. Bottom line, we can call it a boxing performance, which it was. I believe that was a better boxing performance than Tyson Fury's ever done. But nonetheless, it's still one of them ones. It's still a Tyson Fury-esque performance, stuff we used to laugh at. So I'm not going to be a fake Shildon who's going to say, oh no, but it's different because nah. I'm going to remain consistent. We hold AJ to a higher standard, unfortunately, because that's how good he is. He's good enough to run through Ruiz. As I said, and I was the only one saying it, but no one want to listen. But YB, you know. And now what happens? 2-2s, as always, the YB's 100% correct. Chris Areola, old, no power, slow, goes in there and knocks Ruiz all over the place. Embarrassing it was. I didn't even feel embarrassed for Ruiz. I felt more embarrassed for AJ. Big 6'6" Africanulese, looking all scary looking. Scared to get touched looking ass. Wow, it was bad. That was super bad for AJ. That what Chris Areola did. Chris Oldiola went in there like a true don. The worst thing is he doesn't even have the attributes to do it. But despite that, he just went in there and got stuck in and put Ruiz down and was bobbling Ruiz's head all over the place. And this was the best Ruiz ever. In his best shape, under the best trainer going, Eddie Reynoso, and still Areola bopped his head all over the place, and old Areola. Wow. When AJ fought Ruiz, he was 200, 300 pound, out of shape, not even training, and still he was scary. But again, comes down to the trainer accepting that, because I wouldn't accept it. It wouldn't be acceptable for me to put AJ in the ring and be running around the place from Ruiz. Not acceptable. Not how after. I'd rather you go out on your back, trying to get the get back. Do you understand what I'm saying? Obviously, we're not going to train just to get knocked out, but I'm saying I'd rather us lose this fight going for it. At least we can look at our son in the eye and say, you know what, man? You know what I'm saying? Not, oh, well, went in there, he whooped me all over the place, and I'm just going to go in there and be scary. What does that teach no one? That teaches people that what? Innit? I don't get that myself. We're going to do, my whole philosophy would have been, we're going to do him worse than he done us. Otherwise, what are we in a sport for? If you believe a man's better than you, yeah? If you're built like AJ is, yeah, and you believe Ruiz is better than you, know what? If you believe a man who's 300 pound and big boobies and all whatever else and soft, if you think he's better than you, retire. That's my whole thing. If you think Ruiz is better than you, then what are we in the sport for? If you're scared of exchanging with him, retire. It's time to retire then. Because I'll tell you what we do know. When AJ was young or whatever, he weren't afraid to exchange with no one. Much less a big Majin Buu looking ass. So it comes down to the mentality and what's been allowed to degrade over time. And this is just a signal of that. This is just a highlighting what's degraded. AJ's mind's just too soft. Bottom line. Yeah? You can't even see, you don't even know what it is to be on it anymore. That's what I believe. Oh, come on, what? Come on, let's laugh. Let's be hella fruity before we get in, before we go to war. My man told him, listen, I've got no time for fruitiness. I'm trying to keep my mind pure. Yeah? Oh, I know what's coming next. So trust me, all the AJ fans are going to be in my comments. Oh, but YB, you know, he got 3 belts. But YB, he got 100 million. But YB, you know, he gonna turn it on when he gets in there. Heard it all before. Heard it before. The Ruiz rematch. Heard it before. The Pulev fight. Oh, but he can do this. No more now. I'll believe it when I see it from now on. And that's why it's so unfortunate, because I don't know about you, man. From now on, I can't bet on AJ not getting the KO. I can't do it. Not after watching. Not obviously. Look at the Ruiz rematch. How many of you, man, bet on AJ getting the KO? Oops. The Pulev fight, that nearly didn't work out, didn't it? Now Pulev's old. I'm telling you now how I feel. I can't bet on AJ KO and Usyk. Now will he win 100%? But I can't bet. Like, how the times have changed. There was a time, yeah, where I'd back AJ to stop everyone, and not just back him in a video. I mean, putting money up, because anyone can talk ish on the video. When you put money up is when you know it's real. Now, I'm being honest, I can't put money on AJ getting a stoppage against Usyk. How can I do that? Now, if, like I said, if I'm in AJ's camp and I know he's going in there with his elbows tucked in, he's fainting and stepping in and going to work, stalking him, hunting him down, then I'll be rock hard putting the money on the stoppage. But this new style of touching and dancing, if you can barely stop Pulev, we know Usyk's younger, sharper, trickier. There's no way. Usyk's a lot like Fury, but smaller in as much as he's going to need to be broken down. You're going to need to consistently touch him. All over. Me Too style. Jeff Epps style. Yeah? Usyk and Fury are going to need the full Jeff Epps treatment. No doubt. Touch them all over. Again and again and again and again. This whole, I'm going to step in with a jab and dance off. I'm not going to cut it. You ain't going to get no stoppage that way. Yeah, you can stop Pulev that way because he's old, he's finished and whatnot. But Usyk, I don't believe so. And it's in my opinion, it's the same for Fury. I don't believe you're going to catch Fury with one shot and that's going to be the end of it. Just one lucky one. Don't get me wrong. Once you've pounded on him, and then you might be able to catch him with one and he goes, but not just you know what I'm saying? Like the Pulev fight. It's not going to work like that. Oh, I'm touching him with singles, and then, oops, I caught him with right hand. Just pure lucky. That was because he's so old, and he's no good. To be honest, the way that fight finished proves how finished Pulev was, to be fair. Because no other fighter who's half sharp should have been getting knocked out by AJ that way, if that makes sense. When you think about the punishment Dominic Brazil took, yeah? And that was Dominic Brazil. And I believe Fury and Usyk are a level above Dominic Brazil. So think of all the work AJ put into Dominic Brazil, and before he went, meaning that just shows you how much of how useless Pulev was, because Pulev didn't get a tenth of the work Brazil did, and he still ended up falling over because he's so old. Yeah, I'm actually hearing that the reason Pulev flopped was just pure arthritis, man. He had arthritic ankles and just couldn't take no more vibrations and rolled over. Yeah, no doubt. But anyway, listen, AJ, what you need to do right now is follow the YB on Twitter at the Don YB and get in my DMs. Yeah, and let's get your head straightened out, because right now the alleged gaffer Rob McCracken and whatever else, wow, all these other things, listen, they ain't it. Yeah, Rob McCracken don't know what he's doing. Your team's got your SAF, and you need someone who's gonna sort your head out and get you back on track, because this fruity tooty thing ain't working out. Yeah, it's not. You're not achieving your potential. You're not achieving what's possible. You're not achieving what you could be doing right now. Oh, and actually, just before I go, when I was doing the production of this video, I actually listened to the start of it again. And AJ's giving Ben some advice. He says, just have fun and enjoy yourself and there's no pressure. Listen, again, shows that What is that attitude? Have fun and enjoy yourself. That there for me is kind of like that middle class parents at the football game attitude. Do you understand? Timmy at the football game who ain't no good. Yeah, have fun, enjoy yourself. We're talking elite Olympic performances. People who want to win, or should want to win, shouldn't you? Yeah? People should want to get in there and what is it? As an elder, from AJ's point of view, I understand the social pressures of, well, everyone wants to get a medal and whatnot. I kind of get that, but where's the elite advice as such? You want to be on smoke time. Losing isn't an option. Now these are easy cliches to say, but again, this just highlights and delves into the people around AJ, because these words are coming out of his mouth. If you had other people around AJ, yeah, these kind of concepts, these mediocre and I'll just have fun, these football mum, these middle class football family, these middle class football family stuff of have fun, enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy yourself, have fun, and as long as you're having fun, it's all good. They, in my opinion, they should hold no place in Olympic level sport. Never mind Olympic level, elite level boxing. That's a whole other ball game, in my opinion. I hold boxing above all other sports. Never mind anything else. What's this middle class football mum? What's AJ doing? Lyricking off these middle class football mum words, phrases. Just have fun and as long as you don't worry about anything else, as long as you're enjoying yourself. Where's it coming from? I'll tell you where it's not coming from. It ain't coming from the YB, because them words don't enter my head as it pertains to boxing and elite sport. If that's your mentality, you might as well stay at home and don't waste people's time. Yeah? If I was training someone and that was their response, if I was spending time training someone and they were saying, yeah, I'm just coming to turn up and as long as I have fun, I'd be shocked. Like, what? Have fun? What is that? What is that, genuinely? What is it? Because I can't understand that myself. And even in my own life, yeah. Yes, I've never been nowhere that AJ has, but I've been to a relatively high level in sport. That didn't creep in my mind. So I can't understand. I can't understand. I can just imagine. That's what Rob McCrappen says. Rob McCrappen says, yeah, have fun, and as long as you're enjoying yourself, son, it's all good. Wow. It's bad. This is super bad right now.